you said you didn't spar Jake, but you did get in there with Logan for a little bit. I mean, are those guys as good as they say they are, or what do you think about that? Because you've
No,
seen
no,
a
they're
lot behind the scenes.
no, they're garbage. They're-
I'm joined by longtime UFC veteran Sam Alvey. He's been in the sport of MMA for many years now. I can recall watching him for about as long as I can remember. He's kind enough to stop by, for a talk today. How's everything going today?
oh, everything's going great. I get my wife drove up
Hello.
north to see her grandma with three of my kids. So I'm home alone for a few days with three of my other kids.
That's awesome, man. No, it's definitely some quality dad times. Nothing better than
Oh
that, I would
yeah,
imagine.
yeah.
Yeah, man. So, first and foremost, I want to ask you about the jaw. How has the recovery been?
It was much easier than the first time I broke. First time I broke it, they had to wire it shut for 6 weeks, and it was just miserable. This time, the dentist said just don't eat anything or don't chew anything, and so it was much easier to get through this time. Give it to Crosby. Ask Crosby to open it. It was much easier to get everything healed this time. I just stopped chewing stuff. I've started rolling again. I'm still not sparring, not now with real punches, but I'm rolling again. So it's worked out much better.
You say you're not sparring, but you're starting to roll. That means that there's anticipated action, right? So does that mean we could expect to see you back there anytime soon? Are you looking to get into that octagon or that
Yeah,
or that cage rather?
yeah, I'm looking to fight again. I don't exactly know when. I can't really get punched yet, so I've just been lifting a ton. I think I'm going to go up to 205 permanently. Just get a little bit bigger, because I couldn't do anything else. I've been lifting a ton. So I've started rolling. I'm still lifting. I'm going to gain some weight, get a little thicker, and we'll see where I go next.
Yeah, man, absolutely. So I'm sure that you want to sort of, maybe wait to see where you're at, right? Wait till the body's 100% before you even start talking to anybody about a potential fight, right?
Yeah, for the most part, I've put some feelers out there. I've got a couple bites back. I'm just kind of seeing where I want to go next.
Yeah, absolutely, man. So I want to sort of touch back on the last time we saw you. Maybe things didn't exactly go your way, but after a loss, do you always look back and assess, or do you just move forward? What kind of like, because a lot of fighters do it differently?
Yeah, well, this last one is, I've got over 80 fights. I've never had my ass kicked before. This boy kicked my ass. I mean, it was like 4 minutes of me just getting beat up. So there wasn't much to take away from that one. There's a lot of, well, I guess I should have shot right away. I should have went for the takedown immediately. My movement wasn't as good as I thought it was going to be. So that was really my big takeaway from this last one. I should have done something completely differently.
But you said that it might be the first time that maybe you got it handed to you or whatever, that you feel that somebody maybe beat you more than you would like, right? Whatever the case may be. How do you feel though at age 36, right? Does that mean that maybe you don't feel maybe as good as you felt in the past, or would you like, how do you feel at 36 compared to like when you were 30, let's just say?
I feel as good now as I ever have. I feel a lot stronger now than I've ever been. I've never been a fast fighter, and maybe my speed has gone down a little bit. But I feel great. I still feel healthy. I have no lingering issues. Nothing's going wrong with my health. I'm just, I don't know. I've got so many fights, and anyone that fights me has 1,000 fights of mine they can watch and learn and see what my habits are. When most of the people I've been fighting lately don't have many fights, and there's only so many fights I can watch and learn from.
Could that be kind of like frustrating at times, or does it not matter to you? Because there's certain fighters where they don't really watch tape on their opponents. They let like the coaches worry about that, or they sort of just fight the way that they always fight, regardless of who it is. Like, what's your take on that?
Uh, I know that whoever's fighting me, whether they are or their coaches are, people are watching what I've done. And at this point, that I've been fighting for so long, and I've got so many fights. It's been fairly easy to figure out what I'm good at, what works on me, and they figured me out here in the last fight particularly well. So I have got to make some adjustments, and maybe go back to some things that I've not done in quite a while.
And we brought up some of those last fights, right? I mean, a lot of people might feel discouraged after some setbacks, whatever may be in life, things may not go your way. Like, what is it about you that regardless of results, you just keep coming back, you keep coming back, you know what I'm saying? Like, what is it
Yeah,
that brings you here every time?
I love fighting. I enjoy every moment I get to spend in that cage. And I never meant to be a fighter. It was not a goal of mine to be in the UFC. I didn't know about the UFC when I started fighting, so that I was given the opportunity to compete so many times and in the highest organizations. I've had a lot of success in my career, success I didn't know I was capable of. And so a loss sucks, and I don't want to do it. And it's irritating that I've taken so many recently, but I know what I have done is greater than most people will ever do in this sport. Uh, and I did it by just, but I was a band nerd. I mean, I was not an athlete. I was nothing. It was something I just said I'm going to start doing, and I just figured it out. And a lot of hard work, a lot of blood, sweat, and tears. And I'm on. I'm talking, buddy. Not to you. Nope.
Yeah, absolutely. And we mentioned that run, and then I just want to say that I mean, just anyone who fights mixed martial arts, regardless of a result, you're already in the small percentile of human beings to even have the courage to do that, much less win a fight, much less be in a promotion like the UFC, right? So you got to give you all, we got to give you all the props in the world for that. We spoke about the UFC a couple of times now. You had a great run there at middleweight, right? Do you feel like a lot of that success maybe would have continued if you had not made that initial move to light heavyweight? Do you feel like that maybe derailed a little bit of momentum you had?
No, I moved to light heavyweight. I needed a fight, and they didn't have a fight for me. So I said, I'll fight light heavyweight. And they said, sure, let's do it. And I won my first two there.
Right.
There were a lot of fights. Mark Goddard kind of screwed me twice. That's the worst ref in the UFC. I hate that guy. No, I don't hate that guy. He might be fine, but he screwed me a couple times and really set that bar rolling. I had some bad luck. I had some bad decisions. I lost some stuff that I really felt I should have won and was taken from me. Um, but all that's an excuse. I didn't finish fights when I could have or should have. Uh, so it's light heavyweight 185. It didn't feel any different to me. Now I just don't want to cut the weight if I don't have to, unless I'm getting paid to cut the weight. I've always said I'll fight for free, but if you want me to cut weight, you're gonna have to pay me. So I'm gonna gain some weight. I'm gonna stay around 205, and we'll see who wants me where next.
So you would be willing to cut to middleweight, right? If there was a good opportunity on the table, you'd be willing to do that.
Yeah, we're all prize fighters. We're gonna go where the prize is. The bigger prize at middleweight, I'll go back down. It'll suck, but I'll get there.
Is there any like work? Because I know you had a rough cut the last time, man. So is
Oh,
there
this
like any
last one's
worry about that?
No, I made it. I would have to change something. I was going with the
Yeah.
UFC's weight cutting protocol or diet and all that, and I just feel they're feeding me too much. I felt about 3 weeks before the fight, I was just heavier than I know I should have been, and so I changed and started doing things myself and started losing again. But I just didn't lose enough. So the next time I might run things completely myself, or goodness, sorry.
Oh, no worries, man.
Yeah, I'm getting a call again. I don't know. Hold and hold. I don't know how to turn out. Can you see me? No.
I can still see you. Yeah.
All right, cool. I'll keep talking until that disappears.
Yeah, man.
Uh,
No worries.
uh, yeah, and so I've just enjoyed doing what I do at the weight whatever needs to be done. And I'm guessing, I mean, I've gotten bigger over the years. I've gotten stronger. I've got a great lifting program, good lifting coaches, and maybe I stopped lifting a little bit sooner than I did my last couple of camps.
Now, listen, man, I'm not, we're on this channel. Nobody here claims to be an expert or an analyst. I'm a fan, right? And I just want to talk to the fighters. So I almost feel inclined to ask you, you've had a great run of fights in your career. You're only 36, but again, like the number of fights you've had is a big body of work. So like I almost feel again inclined to ask, like, you face a lot of good guys, regardless of promotion. Like, was there ever a time where you walked out of a fight and you were like, damn, that guy's really good? Like, maybe it happened more than once, but like, what was the guy that you faced that you were like, technically, this guy is really good?
Nate Marquardt was like that, and Nate, I've got a certain respect for him because he was my coach on the Ultimate Fighter as well. So I knew him behind the scenes, and then I got to fight him, and he moved well. He hit me harder than anyone outside of Dan Henderson, and it was really something else seeing how. I mean, I've got really good takedown defense. I've been able to. I think I'm the fourth highest in UFC history in takedown defense rating. And Nate, I believe he got me down once, and it was just the amount of strength that he was able to generate. He really impressed me after that fight.
Yeah, I mean, you seem like a nice guy, right? I mean, your name is Smiling, for Christ's sake. But I did hear you say you never had any issues. There was never any fight where like things got over emotional for you, where you came into the cage, you were like, I want to rip this guy's face off. Or was it always cool, calm, and collective? Because sometimes for fighters, there's like that stage, right, where they have to like evolve into like that composed fighter. Were you always like a composed fighter? Were you always like a happy go guy?
Yeah, I always have been, and most of my MMA career, everyone has been. Conor McGregor came in and kind of changed it. Now you see all these
Sure.
people that force in anger between. I think Peter Yan shoved Sean O'Malley today, even though they don't care about each other outside of this fight. It just Conor McGregor came in and said, you know what, if you want to make a big fight, you got to be a dickhead all the time, and it's really changed the way that the sport is now from what it used to be. Everyone's trying to be the next Conor, and I've never really bought into it. Conor was really good at what he did. There've only been a few people that can pull it off. I think Chael Sonnen was one, and Conor McGregor's another, and that's about the entire list. Like Kobe Covington tries, he does his own thing. Triple C, he tries, does his own thing, but everyone else is just trying to copy one of them, and it's just it's I don't like how the sport is going down that path, but I guess it sells fights, so maybe it is for the better.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, we're in the day and age of clicks and views and all that, and that's kind of what they lean towards when there's like a tie between two guys. I guess if you were to say one thing I did
Yeah.
like about Chael Sonnen was that he never like cursed or resorted to family or anything like that. Like he always was just witty and like smart and all the things that he would say
I,
to people.
you can picture him like practicing in his bathroom, like talking to himself in the mirror, exactly what he's saying, the
Yeah,
rhythm he's going to say. He outdid Conor McGregor. He just didn't win like Conor McGregor did.
that's a good
And
point.
Chael was the GOAT when it comes to running his mouth. He was really good at it. Conor, he wasn't as good, but dude predicted the second he was going to beat Jose Aldo and the punch he was going to throw to do it. Conor had a certain way about him with the way he was able to finish fights.
Yeah, man. Definitely. There was definitely some magic to that. I think anyone would be lying if they said that there wasn't. You're a
Mm-hmm.
father of six, man. You seem to be, proud in a lot of the stuff that you've done in your career throughout mixed martial arts. I mean, it might be sad to see you leave a big promotion, even though you're going to keep fighting. But is it nice to just be able to spend a little more time with the family now? You're not focusing on fighting at this exact moment in time. I know you want to get back in there, but is it nice to sort of just be able to, just stay at home like a dad? That's what you're doing right now.
Yeah, my whole career, even during camps, doing it during everything, I've always been a stay-at-home dad. My
Okay.
wife's a stay-at-home mom too. It's like I'd go to the gym, I'd take all the kids with me, I'd put them in the kids club, I'd go work out, I'd pick them up, I'd take them, make them lunch, I'd change it. It was just an everyday life kind of thing. Now that I moved to Tennessee from California, things have changed a little bit. I just don't have the gyms I go to don't have the childcare like they did out in California, so it's harder to get them to and from and everywhere I need to go. But I've got good kids. They're still with me most of the time. My last two camps were the first. I still do my camps out in California, so they're the first two camps I've ever done away from my family, and I hated that. I hated spending 6 weeks away from everyone. It was I was bored all the time out in California with my kids not there. I just had nothing to do, which is probably good for training because I could go train, go home and do nothing, train again. It's great that way, but I just got bored. So I'll figure it out whether I want to keep doing it or not.
Is it like a weird switch that you have to flip? You know how like Connor says that he doesn't like to, we just mentioned him, he doesn't like to bring his kids around fighting and all that. Like, is there something you have to like compartmentalize kind of since you do like to have the kids around?
No, they just it's all I've ever known. I mean, when I started fighting, or well, it wasn't when I started, but before I was in the UFC, I had one kid, and it was I didn't have any money, so she had to come everywhere. She was just with us, little Reagan. And then I got into the UFC, and you still don't have a lot of money, but you're a little more comfortable. And I had two and then three kids, and they still came. Then I started making more money with the UFC, and I had a lot more kids. Uh, so it was just always what I did. They were just I had no choice. They had to come with me. That's what my kids have been. I mean, my second born, he we had to what do we have to do? We had to induce labor. We waited till his due date, but we had to induce labor because he wasn't coming because we needed to get him a passport so we could go to Australia. And I fought Dan Kelly. So my kid, 2 weeks old, flew to Australia. Another kid went to Brazil, kind of a similar story. My first kid went to Canada, same story. My kids have been all around the world. because we needed, we couldn't afford a babysitter. We needed to take him with us. And the UFC was kind enough that when we got there, they did everything they could to make us comfortable and help us out.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm sure your kids will have some great stories to tell
Oh
someday.
yeah.
So that's interesting to say. Definitely. So, you brought up in the past that you were like a 7-1 kickboxer, if I'm not mistaken. Is that like anything that you would entertain, like just boxing in general? Anything in
Yeah,
that world?
absolutely. That bare knuckle boxing, I would have a blast with that. I think
I
that'd
was
be
just
so
thinking
much
about
fun.
that. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I think that would be a blast. I love the promotion. I love how they've kind of embraced the WWE feel to it. The WWE has always been my dream. It has been, I mean, I didn't know about the UFC, but I knew about The Rock and Stone Cold. That was like, yes, that this is the pinnacle of all combat sports. And I love how the bare knuckle boxing has kind of embraced that. They've started like right after the champion wins, they already have the number one contender in the ring shoving each other. They're talking shit and doing everything they can to right then and there. And I really love that feel to it. So maybe that'll be somewhere I go. It's the one combat sport I've not competed in yet. And so I think that would make me an even more unique fighter. I've got a bunch of kickboxing wins, UFC wins, MMA wins. If I can get some boxing wins too, that would just be a great way to round out my career.
Yeah, man. And we're speaking, I wasn't going to ask you this question coming up, but we're speaking about boxing, TikTok. There seems to be a common little theme here. You got Jake Paul, Logan Paul, those little bastards, for lack of a better word. They're a little nuisance. Would you ever entertain, fighting one of those guys, taking one of their heads off?
Oh yeah, I've sparred with him actually. A while
I
back, I
heard of that.
sparred with
Yeah.
Logan. Yeah, I've sparred with Logan Paul. He seemed like a good dude. Jake wouldn't spar me after he saw me spar Logan, and I was being so nice with Logan. I was doing everything he could to just be, because I'm the experienced guy. He was the YouTube guy, and he was athletic. He was throwing real hard, but I was doing the best I could to just get hit, but not hit too bad. And but I was doing well enough, just protecting myself. And Jake wouldn't spar me afterwards. So I don't know if that fight will ever happen, but I would love to see it happen.
And you said you didn't spar Jake, but you did get in there with Logan for a little bit. I mean, are those guys as good as they say they are? Or what do you think about that? Because you've
No,
seen
no,
a
they're
lot behind the scenes.
no, they're garbage. They're very athletic. I mean, they're very, at least Logan. I didn't get to spar with Jake. I got to watch him admit they're very athletic. And you can tell that. I think they were both wrestling champions or state champions or something. And you can see Logan Paul in the WWE, very athletic dude.
Yeah.
Like he they didn't get tired, at least in that while we were training. They were throwing with a lot of oomph and all that. But it was. I mean, their footwork. There's no footwork. There's no real strategy behind it. That was a long time ago. Also, this was 5 years ago or 6 years ago. So they've gotten better since then, I'm sure. But at the time, it was easy work for me.
Yeah, man. And moving on to some more appealing things. You're big on TikTok, right? Massive following. You share some insight, whatnot, stories and all that. I'm curious if that opportunity never came about, right? To make a TikTok account. Now you could post whatever you want on there. Would you even be doing that? Like, is that something in the back of your head where you were like, one day I want to share these stories somewhere one day, whether it's like a book or, whatever the case may be.
Yeah, I've got more experience than just about everyone. I think Musasi has more fights than me, but that's about it. That's like the list. And I've been everywhere. I fought around the world. I fought in just about every organization. I've done just about everything there is to do in the fighting realm. And so in TikTok, I get to answer a lot of questions. I get to communicate. I get to have some fun on TikTok. My YouTube, I've been building that as best I can. That's where I can kind of get some of the bigger, more entertaining stories told.
And where can we
And so
find you on YouTube? Is it just your name?
yeah,
Sam
Smiling
Alvey?
Sam. You'll find Sam Alvey, Smiling Sam
Okay.
on all social media. I make sure I claim my name on all of it, and I have a good time with all of that. I really do. I've done something so few people get to do, that if I can share any stories, any fun times, anything that I've done that might entertain somebody or inspire somebody, I'll have I try to do it. I try to get back however I can. Actually, so on TikTok just the other day, there was this Amish boy, and dude was just hitting a bag, and it had some power to it. And I made a stitches where I take like the first half of his, and then I add to it myself, and I
Right.
just compliment it. That dude's got some power. Posted all right. The Amish kid hit me. He DM'd me on Instagram like last night. Said, "Hey, thank you so much for doing this. I would love to get into fighting. If you have any tips." And we've been having a conversation for the last day and a half about where he is, where he can train, stuff like that. And any little bit I can do to help somebody, in what might be their dream, I would love to do. Fighting really is a fairly selfish sport unless you go out of your way to make it not so selfish anymore. And that's kind of where I'm at. Is anything I can do to help anyone is where I want to spend my time and rest of my career.
Yeah, nice, man. I'm glad that you found a good platform to do that. I think it's going to be very helpful for a lot of people that reach out and are curious to get into that world. I got one more question for you, man.
Yeah.
Very serious question too. If you were in the world of professional wrestling, what would your name be?
They have to be Smiling Sam. I've already got, I
Okay,
mean, that's such a good professional fighter name. And then I've got a backstory behind it. Absolutely. I would say Smiling Sam.
awesome. Yeah, yeah, and maybe that backstory will be revealed on another time we have you on, or maybe in a promo in your future wrestling endeavor if that ever comes to be.
Oh,
So
yeah. Maybe I'll make a YouTube video about it right now.
that might not be a bad idea. We'll definitely check that out, man.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Sam, thanks for stopping into the show. It's been a pleasure watching your career thus far. I wish you all the best in the future as well. And yeah, man, all the best.
Hey, thank you very much for wanting me on, sir. We'll talk again.